This is Darren with Reboot Congress, and I'm here today with Ed Martin. I was going to ask him a few questions. He has recently announced that he's exploring the possibility of running for Congress, specifically in Missouri's 3rd District. Currently, Russ Carnahan, a Democrat, is in that seat, and Ed is planning on running on the Republican side. Now, you've undertaken this exploration of a campaign. And what are your goals for the exploratory period? I mean, how much feedback are you looking for from people, and how can people go about getting that feedback to you?
Well, there's two things that I'm doing. The first thing is I'm going out into the community across the 3rd Congressional District, which is the heart of America. I think that some of the best people in the country goes from all the way from St. Genevieve down south from Missouri, in south from St. Louis, up through Jefferson County. The district includes South County, South City, parts of Clayton, U City. It's a great district. I'm going out in the community and I'm having one-on-one meetings, 5 people, 20 people, 50 people, whatever it is, in these next couple of months to listen to people and hear where they are. I told someone, I'm not doing a listening tour in the sense that I need to be taught what I believe, but I am doing a tour to go out and just say to people, what's going on in your life? Tell me how it feels. What are your fears? And think and talk about what I could do for them. I'm also letting them ask me anything. Again, I call these meetings Ask Ed Anything gatherings. And the reason I call them Ask Ed Anything gatherings is because anything should be fair game for someone who's going to represent you in Congress. Currently, Congressman Carnahan and other representatives, they operate by press release. They may, operate on social media, but they don't get face-to-face with the people. They don't take unscripted questions. They don't depart from talking points passed from the Speaker Pelosi's office. So I'm going to go out and do these Ask Ed Anything meetings for the next couple months and ask people what they think about me, what they think about me running. And then second, I'm going to ask people that are encouraging if they'll help. And already I've had a lot of people say, I'll help you knock on doors, which we're going to do a lot of. Even before we decide if we're going to finally declare for candidacy, I'm going to knock on a bunch of doors and ask people, just cold, what do you think? People have offered to do that. People have offered to be all different parts of the campaign. One thing that they've been great about is getting to the website, edmartinforcongress.com. And if you go to edmartinforcongress.com, you can sign up on an email list and you can get updates. And you can also go there and donate. And as I said earlier, my Tea Party friends and a lot of supporters have decided they're going to give me $20 or $50 and make a difference and send a message that there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that want to support me as a way to say, look, there are people out there that are coming up from these efforts who are going to try to make a stand for what's good for their districts and their parts of the state or the country.
As someone who lives in Missouri 3, and as a blogger, I blog at rebootcongress.blogspot.com. My first post was about a sort of new kind of term limits, and you have a kind of interesting perspective. So there are kind of two aspects to the question I'm about to raise in my quick Ask Ed session. One is I suggested the use of state legislation, so working through the state governments, to limit the terms of their congressional delegations, specifically to preclude consecutive terms for their congressional delegations. So I'm wondering, what are your thoughts about having terms such that you say you would run in 2010, but take 2012 off, come back in 2014, etc. What are your thoughts about that? But also, what are your thoughts about having the states take on the federal government?
Well, first of all, I started an organization in Missouri called Term Limits for Missouri. And that organization is focused on promoting term limits in the state of Missouri for all levels of government. I believe that term limits are a necessary adjustment to our governing, together. The founding fathers lived at a time when the facts are that there was sort of natural term limits. You couldn't serve in Congress easily for too long because it was difficult to serve. You had to travel far and be away for a long period of time, and many of the founding father era people were farmers or related to farming. So I believe that today term limits of some type, usually I think it's about 8 years total, is a very healthy thing for government at all levels. Here in Missouri, I think we've seen it work very well at the state level. We have term limits for our state house, both in the Senate and House of Representatives, in the Missouri House and the Missouri Senate. I think it works great. I think it works great for the governor and the president, whatever, all those offices. I'm not sure about your example of the sort of on-again, off-again service of term limits. Campaigns are such difficult entities and so hard to undertake. It seems to me that the more likely scenario is to invoke term limits for a period of time. So have our congressmen serve for 4 terms total. Have our senators serve for maybe 2 terms, a total of 12 years. And that way you kind of can serve and be out. And you can acquire some of the necessary understanding and all. So I'm not sure that I'm totally on board with your idea. I also don't know, in Missouri we have a great history of term limits. Our people have embraced it almost ahead of the country. And one of the things we did in the mid-90s, early 90s, kind of early mid-90s, was we had term limits. We wanted to put a marker on your candidacy for federal office saying that you supported term limits. And that was declared unconstitutional. So I'm not sure what we're allowed to do, but I will support term limits at every level of government. I think we ought to, if we need to, we ought to have a constitutional amendment to limit the terms of congressmen and senators, and we need to figure out exactly what the best specifics on that are. But I'm a fighter for term limits. I believe in them.